Bell. She's hiding in the back there at one of the tables. She was really the impetus for bringing Ron to campus here today and for making all this possible. In addition, there are many other people that were involved, but Sharon was the one who made the first contact and brought it to my attention. It's another exciting year at the Monfort College of Business. Many of you were with us as we celebrated the 40th anniversary of the college earlier this year, actually back in May. That was a great evening at the Ritz-Carlton in Denver, and I wish all of you could have been here. If you weren't able to join us, you're in luck because we've got even more of a reason to celebrate this year. This is the 10th anniversary of the naming of Monfort College of Business, and we're in the process of planning a party to end all parties. I can't share all the details here today, but think VIP treatment, ultimate networking opportunity, and Coors Field. And watch for more information in the months to come. We also have other things to celebrate as well. Once again, our graduating seniors scored in the top 10% collectively on the nationally administered field test in business by the Educational Testing Service. This is a standardized test that assesses core business knowledge. It's administered at about 550 schools nationwide. It is the 6th consecutive year that our seniors have scored in the top 10%. This level of excellence has become a tradition at Monfort College of Business and one we hope to continue. We were also just informed that our tax team has won an honorable mention in the Deloitte Tax Challenge National Competition. Each member of the team received $200 cash award, and the university will receive $2,000. Our students really deserve the appreciation for all their hard efforts. Okay, let's give them a round of applause. And the interesting part of that tax challenge is when you look at all of the other competitors, these are Big Ten teams, these are Pac-8 teams, these are big schools they're competing against. We were probably the smallest college of business in that competition, and they came away winners again. So we've also launched a unique leadership program targeted at senior executives through the Monfort Institute. It consists of 3 courses designed to help senior leaders design their own leadership systems, transform their organizations into sustainable economic, environmental, and social enterprises. What's really exciting is the fact that these courses will be taught by executives who led transformations at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, Boeing, and Clark American, among others. The courses will be taught at the University Centera facility. To find out more, please visit the website monfortinstitute.org or see me or any of the other guys. I know Mike Leonard is here, and he's our key marketing person in the back here, so please look to him if you have questions or are interested in that program. And there are even more exciting things going on at Monfort College of Business. I hope you'll visit our website to learn about them. Thank you very much for being here today, and have a great lunch.
And another reason that the dean has such a big smile on his face is if you noticed in the Greeley Tribune this morning, it's announced that State Farm Insurance made a gift earlier this month of $100,000 benefit students at the Monfort College of Business. Like a good neighbor, State Farm. At the conclusion of today's presentation, I invite you to walk just over to the Fireside Lounge just outside the doors here that Ron Alsop will be have his new book, Trophy Kids Grow Up, How the Millennial Generation is Shaking Up the Workplace. He'll have that book available for purchase, and he has graciously agreed to sign everyone. And here to introduce our speaker this morning is the University of Northern Colorado Provost, Abe Roth.
Thank you and good morning. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our guest speaker at today's Business Plus Speaker Series. For many years, Ron Alsop was a senior writer and news editor for the Wall Street Journal. He's a frequent speaker at international conferences on corporate reputation and business education, and works with leading research firms that measure corporate brand and reputation. He's also the author of 8 best-selling books, including his newest one that Scott just talked about, is the Trophy Kids, how they grow up, how the millennial generation is shaping up the workplace. We are all interested in learning more about the millennial generation, their profile, their attitudes, work habits, and aspirations as they are populating the halls of the universities and workplace across the nation. Please join me in welcoming Ron to the University of Northern Colorado. Ron?
Good afternoon. I am very pleased to be here, and I also want to thank Sharon for inviting me. She and I met at a conference back in the summer, and she said that she thought this would be a topic that the community here would be interested in. So over time we worked out the time for me to get here, and I'm very pleased to be here. I've been to Colorado a few times before, but never to this area at this stage. So it was a good experience to come here for me. I'm very pleased to get that opportunity. Look, I'm going to talk about throughout my research on business schools. When I was at the Wall Street Journal, I was the editor of our business school rankings, and I wrote a column about business schools. About 4 years ago, as I would meet people in business schools, deans and others, and do interviews, I kept hearing more about the millennial generation. And I was sort of ignorant of this generation at the time. I heard about Generation Y, which is the word millennials, but it seemed like millennials were the topic of discussion in a lot of the schools, mainly because they were just reaching MBA age, about 25, and the business schools were taken aback by this new generation of young people, and so were a lot of corporate recruiters. So I wrote a column about generation for the Wall Street Journal, and I got such a passionate response to that column in terms of emails from parents, millennials, corporate managers, recruiters, business school people, that I thought, wow, there's a lot here to explore. So I was looking for my next book ideas, so I wrote a proposal and shopped it around to some publishers in New York, and eventually sold it to John Wiley. And then with work on really researching this generation. My book, well, it has some surveys that I did and others did. It's heavily based on my interviews as a journalist with millennials and their parents and corporate managers, as well as professors and administrators at both universities and business schools. And so I say in the preface to the book that, you can't say that every trait applies to every millennial. But these are sort of broad points that after all my research, I felt pretty comfortable in saying this is the millennial generation, especially the generation that just graduated from college, which is what corporate recruiters are most interested in. And when I spoke a few months ago at the University of California at Berkeley, I spoke, among other I did several presentations, and one was to an organizational behavior class. And afterwards, one of the students came up to me and he said, "That's me." So I felt, wow, that's good. That means I captured it well. Then again, I've been challenged by some students that they really don't feel that they are quite the way I described it. But at any rate, the book has generated a lot of attention, both from companies and from schools. We want to learn more about the generation and how they might manage this. So for those of you who aren't terribly familiar with this generation, these are sort of the highlights of millennials. They were primarily born in the 80s and 90s. They have high self-esteem. Technology is probably their major asset as far as employers are concerned. Their career priorities, they want to develop themselves personally. There's a portfolio of skills. They're not going to be loyal to any one company. They're going to hop around from job to job once the job market gets better. They want work-life balance, perhaps more than anything. They want to be able to work flexibly at home or on the beach, wherever. They want to have jobs right from the get-go that are meaningful to them. And they tend to be very civic-minded, which is a good thing, very good thing. I think even more than the older generations, this one really is committed to making the world a better place, and hopefully will follow through on it as they get older. And then finally, there are those helicopter parents that, in my mind, are a large reason why the millennials are the way they are. Not the only reason. Partly the globalization of our culture, partly the technology advances and how that's affected people. But these parents really have shaped this generation to a large extent, so much so that I devote 2 chapters of my book just to the parents. Some of you may identify with this book as employers and parents, because that's what I often find when I speak about. Anyway, while my book is very U.S.-centric, I did try to take a look at how these traits translate around the world. So I interviewed some companies in Europe and some other people who have a global perspective, like the consulting firms like PricewaterhouseCoopers. And these were some of the common traits that seem to come up when I interviewed these people. That people around the world share these technology skills. They all have this drive to succeed. They have this desire to change the world. They expect to do a lot of job hopping. And often they have close parental ties. In fact, some countries have different names for helicopter parents, for the phenomenon of helicopter parents. In Sweden, for example, or maybe throughout Scandinavia, they call it curling. So if any of you know what the sport of curling is like, it's where you sweep stones out of the way of the players. So parents are like sweeping away the obstacles for their children. So I think there are a lot of similarities. One of the funniest comments I got was from the head of recruiting at L'Oreal in Paris, who said that he tells his managers the good news is this generation will like you, meaning that because they like their parents and their parents have been so involved in their lives, they're more likely to be friendly to you too. As opposed to Gen X, which tended to be a bit more cynical generation. The PricewaterhouseCoopers study compared millennials in the U.S., Britain, and China, and found that 3/4 expect to have several employers in their career. In fact, in China, a good share of the respondents expect to have a dozen different employers in their career. I think this generation, no matter what country they come from, they want a lot of international experiences, and a lot of them already have had some experiences around the world, whether through personal travel or study programs in their colleges. And the internet, I think, also has made this generation more globally aware. Some HR people I talked to who recruit around the world said one notable difference they find in this generation is that, in general, Asian students tend to have a stronger work ethic than millennials in Europe and America, and that they aren't as concerned about work-life balance and their personal needs. So the message is basically there's going to be tough competition from some of the young people in China, India, and some of these other countries in terms of employers finding them much more willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done. And we did a survey at the Wall Street Journal where we asked corporate recruiters what their perceptions of millennials are. And these were some of their comments. I'd say of the 3,000 or so recruiters who took the survey, I'd say 2/3 tended to be negative perceptions of this generation. Primarily that they don't have the strong work ethic that older generations have had. So I'm going to start with the parents. think every generation certainly is shaped by their parents to some degree, but this generation, their parents' involvement has been perhaps more intense than any other generation. When I started reporting the book and interviewing parents, I had a rather negative perception of about parents, and certainly a lot of them are way over the top. And as I talked to these parents, I probably interviewed about 3 dozen parents for the book, I was a little more sympathetic after I finished my reporting. I really felt that they were sincere, that they found it hard to let go after all these years of being so involved in their kids' lives. And while they maybe shouldn't have been so involved, some of them said that they felt the culture and the school systems had always encouraged them to be involved, to volunteer at school, to know what their kids were studying in school, go to PTA meetings. And then they said, we get to the college gate, and they tell us to go away. And we're not going to go away, is their message back to the colleges. And more and more colleges, as a result, are including a gentle message in their orientation programs, telling parents it's time to back off. I visited a university near where I live called Seton Hall University in South Orange, New Jersey. And I interviewed the woman who runs their orientation, and she said that she tells parents that it's time to become a coach, not a cruise director. When she ends her presentation, she says, "See you at graduation." Wishful thinking, but at any rate, one of the things they do, which I found rather amusing, is this is freshman orientation, so they're leaving their kids off at school for the first time. So before they leave, they create a Build-A-Bear workshop atmosphere, and they let the kids and their parents build a bear together. And they put a T-shirt on the bear that says, "Someone at Seton Hall loves me," and it has the parent website for the university on the T-shirt. So oh my gosh, pillar in but at any rate, it's certainly something I'm sure all of you connected to the university are well aware of. What bothers me the most is that they don't stop this even after college. That every company I interviewed for my book had at least one story of parents trying to get involved in a job search, wanting to sit in on the job interview, or at least doing a lot of the legwork for their kids to get information about how to apply to the company. And FedEx even said two parents went so far as to not only say, "You want to come to the job interview, but will you pay our travel expenses to get there?" So some of this is, as I said, over the top, but it is troubling, and most managers are having to deal with parents to some degree in the workplace. A few companies have taken the approach that we'd rather try to be conciliatory than just shut parents out. Their attitude is, if we alienate the parents, we may lose a good employee in the process who doesn't want to work for us because we offended his or her parents. So companies like Merrill Lynch and Ogilvy Public Relations in New York have had what are called parent days in the office, where parents spend the day in their child's office and get to see what it's like to work there. And I asked someone at Merrill Lynch, I said, "Aren't you sort of enabling these helicopter parents?" And her answer was maybe, but it makes us more competitive with Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley if we do something like this. So, at any rate, that's what's happening out there. I think most companies, though, are finding it awkward. I know I interviewed someone who's the head of HR at Capital One, and he said that the parent showed up for the job interview, and they had to be very gentle in how they dealt with it and say, we really don't want you to come in for the interview. We want to learn about your child. You can sit here, you can look around the office, but he said their attitude is almost now that we're hiring the family, not just the individual. So of all the characteristics of the millennials that the employers find the most difficult is their great expectations. I'd say the most common adjective I got from recruiters about this generation was their sense of entitlement, that they really have, they've achieved a lot, they're smart, They have high self-esteem because their parents and others have rewarded and praised them through the years. But when they get to the workplace, they're not ready to sort of accept what an entry-level job means. One dean of a business school said that it's the most credentials-driven generation he's ever seen. And he went on to tell me about a set of parents who emailed him an Excel spreadsheet that chronicled their child's achievement from preschool through high school. So they're used to being very accomplished, to getting a lot of rewards, which is why I call them the trophy kids, because this is the generation that receive trophies no matter how well they did. In a home run, you get a trophy, so in the bench, you get the same trophy. Now something that I also had a double meaning in mind, because I think for a lot of parents, these kids are like trophies, that they really want to be the best parent they can, which is why they're so involved in their lives, plan their lives. Really think that to be a good parent, it means stepping in and helping the child and whatever they needed, rather than letting the child run through themselves by making mistakes. In terms of the workplace, the young people I interviewed said it was really important that they do something that they found meaningful, that they wanted to feel that the company valued them, that they had a feeling of importance. They resented doing what they would consider grudge type work. One young man at an investment banking firm said he felt that what workplaces should be is meritocracies, where you advance as fast as your experiences and abilities allow. And he said he would not wait around for 10 or 12 years to become a managing director at this bank, that rather than wait to try another bank. So they're an impatient generation, and they think they should be rewarded early on for their accomplishments. They also are a generation that doesn't really have boundaries. I mean, we all know that they go by information on Facebook. This morning I was talking to some professors who were telling me that a lot of their students address them by their first names and are very familiar with them. And so that isn't just a phenomenon around here that I found in a lot of the employers I talked to. Some recruiters used the term student stalkers when I interviewed them, and I wasn't sure what they meant. But what happens, they say, is this generation, they get very impatient if they don't hear back from the recruiters, so they go over their head and email perhaps someone as high level as the CEO. They have no fear of approaching the CEO or the senior executive if you're in the job search or wants to employ. And one woman who runs her own PR agency in New York said that her young employees feel like she's their girlfriend and put their arm around her and call her by her first name, and she finds that very uncomfortable. This generation, perhaps because they're so close to their parents and their parents' friends, they have become very familiar with adults in general. This is another area where I think there's almost unanimous agreement both from millennials and from managers and from people at universities that this generation really needs a lot of feedback. They can't get enough. Some people say we're praise junkies. Some of them said it isn't just positive reinforcement. We want to know how we're doing all the time. They don't want to be surprised when they have their performance reviewed. They want to know if they need to improve now, which in a way is a good thing. Some managers said they expect almost daily feedback, which is obviously impossible in a workplace. I talked to a French professor at Monfort College, and she said that she was known as a hard grader. And anybody who took her class should have known her reputation. And after a while, some students started getting disgruntled because she didn't make positive comments in their papers. So one young woman brought in a smiley face stamp and said, "I really wish you would stamp this on our papers once in a while if you like something." So they really feel like they really had some of that. They need a lot of direction and guidance. They want to have a roadmap for a lot of the things they do, whether it's a job search or a project on the job. At a major pharmaceutical company, a manager told me that one young man didn't finish his work on time, and he asked him why, and he said he forgot to remind him. So this parental involvement really does carry over to the workplace, and I think schools are finding this to some degree too, that young people expect the professor to always be telling them, exactly what to do, to remind them frequently when it's due. Out of all this need for checklists and guidance and feedback, I think, has come discomfort with ambiguity and with making independent decisions. A lot of the companies I interviewed said that they really struggle to make these young people decide things on their own and not always come back for more direction. And that they think part of the problem is they've been in the team so much of their school careers that they become dependent on consensus and collaboration, and they're almost afraid to make a mistake by making a decision on their own. This is something I think schools can probably deal with better. I interviewed some business school professors who said they were trying to make, for example, case studies a little more ambiguous, more gray area there, trying to get students to see that there's not always one answer, but they can come up with a possible solution and not need a constant guidance to do that. And I referred to their desire for work-life balance earlier. I heard this comment from a number of people that the attitude of millennials is that work isn't a place you go to, it's what you do. So their attitude is they can do work anywhere, anytime, as long as they get the job done. And one company that's bought into this is Best Buy. A lot of their headquarters staff is part of a program called Results Only Work Environment. And they really do get to set their hours for the most part. They go into the office for meetings time to time, but generally they work from home or work from Starbucks or wherever, and they can set their hours pretty flexibly. One young man I interviewed talked about how he exercises in the afternoon, he has a small child, and he works at night after she goes to bed. And he goes into the office maybe a couple of times a week. But to him it was ideal. This was exactly the kind of work environment he wanted. So I think if companies can provide that, this generation will really embrace it. I say shorts at Capital One. They told me at Capital One that they try to be flexible enough that they let their employees wear shorts to work if they want, as long as they're not in a client-facing situation. In the Army, they've relaxed their tattoo policy to attract millennials, so that you can have tattoos on more parts of your body and still make it into the Army. And one of the biggest complaints I've heard about this generation's desire to sort of do their own thing in the workplace is the ubiquitous iPod. So many managers said they were frustrated to no end by iPods plugged into their ears of millennials while they were doing work, while they were in meetings, and that they just didn't feel that they were getting the best work out of these young people, nor were the young people really part of the workplace. They were sort of in their own world. And then finally, when I spoke at a conference in LA this past winter, it was for a construction management company. One of the attendees came up to me afterwards and said she had a good story for me. She said that one of her employees told her, "I have to walk my dog twice a day." And she said, "Well, it's not always going to be possible for you to be away twice a day with the dog." And so she quit on the spot because she said her job was interfering with her life. And I thought that sort of summed up this generation. They don't want, their life really comes before the job for the most part. And when you talk about their attributes, they would say their multitasking is one of their most valuable assets. They can do, as I say, a million things at once. That was a quote from one young woman at IBM. And there's obviously some debate about how effective you can be doing multiple tasks. In my book, I talk about several research studies that have been done that show that really you can't do all that many things and do them well at once. But the Pew Research Center did a study where they found that a third of 8 to 18-year-olds multitask while doing their homework, meaning that they're texting on Facebook, listening to their iPod all while doing their homework. And all this has led some people to label this generation the attention deficit disorder generation. And I do think there's something to this because when I interviewed professors at colleges, some major universities too, they said that they find that young people, they just can't read whole novels anymore, that they want short stories or excerpts, and that they really are unable to focus for a very long time on one subject. In terms of their communication styles, obviously this is mainly a texting generation. They want fast response. I found out personally that email is clearly a dinosaur to this generation. I tried to contact a young woman who had been a summer intern at FedEx, and the company gave me her email address back in college, and I emailed her, and I didn't hear back for 3 weeks, and FedEx called and said, "Did you hear from her?" And I said, "No. I guess she's busy or doesn't really care about being interviewed." And the guy said, "Give me a few minutes." So in about 20 minutes, I get an email response from her, and he found her on her Facebook page. And she told me when I talked to her then, I don't ever look at my email hardly. It's not my way of communicating. It's either Facebook or cell phone texting. For older managers, this is somewhat disruptive. These shortcuts and the fact that a lot of millennials would rather text you from 10 feet away than get up and talk to you in person. At Ernst & Young, they actually pass out a form that defines what these texting shortcuts mean for their managers so that they can at least know what they're saying. But I do worry that all this online communications is weakening interpersonal skills, that because these young people tend to avoid even talking on the phone, certainly they don't do a lot of face-to-face involvement with people at work, that they're missing out on what you learn from your dealing with people face-to-face directly. And when we do our surveys of corporate recruiters, the one thing that they say they value most in their recruits are their interpersonal skills. So companies are realizing that they have to adapt somewhat to this generation by providing some technology to meet their needs, because as one of the managers I talked to said, in college they do have a lot of technology at their fingertips. There's usually Wi-Fi across the campus, as well as they're able to use their laptops in class and all. Some more companies are trying to create internal social networks. Deloitte, IBM have done that, having wikis and blogs. And Johnson & Johnson, EMBA students took it upon themselves to create a social network within the company because their MBAs are scattered all over the world. Some companies are doing digital corporate training on their laptop, cell phone, and a BlackBerry. And then there are some companies that are very resistant to this, and I think they're going to have a hard time recruiting this generation. But I've talked to some companies that absolutely forbid Facebook, YouTube, and they just feel that it's attractive for people's productivity, as well as perhaps people might be saying things on these sites that are inappropriate because they relate back to the company. Probably the most admirable quality of the millennials is their altruism. I would say every young person interviewed talks in some way about wanting to do something meaningful for other people. That there's this great sense of civic duty. I think it comes a lot from the fact that they were in elementary, middle, and high school. A lot of them were required to do community service, so it became a little more part of their regular lives that they saw as something that we should do, and that they're now carrying it on in their college life and work life. One young woman I interviewed was working at Lehman Brothers before Lehman failed, and she said she felt all she was doing was making rich people richer, and she just didn't find meaning in that. So she didn't abandon the corporate world. She didn't go work for nonprofits. I mean, she went back to business school, So she found me. And as I know you have a business and society class in the business school here. But more and more business schools do have courses in this area. Many of them are required because they realize that this is what young people want, as well as what more companies are looking for too. Students that have some sense of civic duty. Teach for America has become a major recruiter on campus. In fact, companies were starting to find that young people were so drawn to Teach for America that it had become a more serious competitor than some of the companies they competed with for talent. So some companies have partnered with Teach for America, like JP Morgan Chase and Google. And how it works is JP Morgan Chase hires you. They'll let you go work for Teach for America for 2 years and then join them after that. And they even pay their new hires a signing bonus before they even start their Teach for America. I think more companies are offering community service opportunities on the job, partly to build this generation, partly because they feel corporate responsibility is more and more expected and required by their stakeholders. And then some cynics ask whether this is just a passive fad, the millennials' desire to change the world. And talking to young people, I would say no, but only time will tell once they have mortgages and families and maybe don't have the time they do now to do some of these good works. So what are the dream jobs of this generation? Well, it's sort of an interesting mix. On the one hand, a lot of the young people still seem to want to go into the high-paying jobs in consulting, banking, and accounting, which require long hours and conflicts with their desire for work-life balance. By far, Google is the top choice of any millennial. I think that's because they blend work and life so much. I'm sure many of you have read about Google's Mountain View, California headquarters environment where they provide all kinds of personal services right there in the workplace, so you really can live at the workplace. And nonprofit and government agencies have become a bigger target for these young people. And some are entrepreneurial. And I think it's partly because they want to control their lives in having that balance in their lives, even if they work long hours. Entrepreneurs, at least it's their choice. They're choosing how to structure their lives. And finally, surveys show that most young people want to work for companies that do have a good corporate reputation. Now, there's a company called Universal that every year surveys undergraduates and MBAs and asks them, who are your dream employers? And this is this year's study of undergraduates. And as you see, there are a fair number of nonprofits as well as government agencies on the list. And Universal said this was not the case even 5 or 6 years ago. So that's, I think, that's an interesting change. Now, when you look at the MBA list, it's very different. No nonprofits, no government agencies, obviously. They want to make money to pay back their student loans, whatever. But Google, but you see Google is even at the top of the MBA list, too. So how are companies recruiting? Well, they're going where millennials live, which is in cyberspace. I've been to several conferences of corporate recruiters, and all of them realize that their websites are critical, that they have to make them more engaging, more interactive. They have to be faster in responding to applicants, and they have to get into the social networking world. I'd say these are probably the buzzwords I see most on corporate websites, career websites. These are the things that resonate most with millennials, and right for the most part, I think. We're putting more videos on to try to get a sense of what it's really like to work in the company, more interactive features where you can plug in information and it'll tell you what might be a good job fit for you at the company. So companies really are investing heavily in these. Social networking, Ernst & Young, I believe, was the first company to put a recruiting recruiting site on Facebook. And when I interviewed people there, they said it was a tough decision, but there was a lot of debate within the company because they felt they were giving up control of some of the site to the people who came on it. As you may know, there's part of the Facebook site has to wall and post comments. And they said they decided early on that they would let people make comments as long as they weren't offensive, didn't use foul language, they would leave them up there. And if you go on the site, which I did a number of times, there are critical comments about Ernst & Young and critical comments about the accounting profession, and they leave them up. And most of it is people trying to get jobs and trying to connect with recruiters. And recruiters go on that site several times a day to answer questions from young people who are coming there and trying to get information about the company. Now, the U.S. Army, I think, is probably on all the social networking sites. When I did my book, they were definitely on MySpace. KPMG, as far as I know, was the first company to go on YouTube with a recruiting site. Again, obviously have the video, but they felt it was a way to break through the clutter of other recruiters trying to attract millennials. I mentioned the partnering with Teach for America. Some companies, most notably European companies, for some reason, like L'Oreal, they have these big online game competitions for business school students. And they're international in nature. They attract tens of thousands of young people who play these games, and they're about marketing and management. And those companies say it's a great recruiting tool because it shows that they're very technologically oriented themselves, and they can also spot the brightest people that way. One thing that surprised me when I was interviewing people at Deloitte is that they said that their research shows that young people are making decisions earlier about the careers they want to pursue, so that they started putting out this book to middle school and high school students. It's their way to put accounting in their minds as a possible profession to go into. It would really surprise me that they would be deciding that early the direction their careers would take. Beyond recruiting, and again, this is before the recession, but the survey we asked recruiters about retention, and half of them said it's more difficult to retain millennials than other employees. And this was their time when they would be doing a lot of job hopping. And I would talk to people who would say that some young people would stay 3 months and leave. I even heard of a story of one young person who resigned by email. So it was clearly a time before this recession where they felt they could move around if they didn't like what they found in their first job. And for the most part, there were jobs to go to. I think some people were starting to question how good it was going to look after 2 years if you had 5 jobs on your resume. But at any rate, their attitude was, if I don't like it, I'm moving on. Boomerang recruits refers to the fact that some of the companies, if they lost talented people, they kept in touch with them, hoping that they wouldn't find the grass greener at the other company and would come back in time to their company. So that was a retention tool. Talent was more in demand. Now, a lot of companies are wrestling with the fact that there are 4 generations in the workplace at once. And there obviously are a lot of differences. This table shows you the span of time of their births, the number of them for each generation that are current U.S. residents, and then some of the key historical events and traits of each generation. There are clearly big differences, and when I've spoken at a few companies where there were millennials in the office, there's often a big debate that gets going between the different generations, and I think that's healthy, and but it does show to me that there really are some misperceptions or at least some disagreements about attitudes and behaviors in the workplace. And I've talked about the millennials, all these traits. The baby boomers, or Gen X, I'm sorry, Gen X is probably known for being more cynical, but also self-reliant. They were called the latchkey kids because they came home to empty houses. It's the first generation where both parents worked a lot. And so they they actually, in my research, I would say Gen Xers were more critical of millennials than boomers. I think that was for two reasons. Gen Xers apparently did pay their dues before they moved up the ladder, and they resented that millennials didn't want to do that. And also, I think because boomers are the parents of most of these millennials, so they have at least some compassion. Baby boomers, I think, have always been defined heavily by their careers, and they see millennials as not putting in enough time or enough of themselves into their jobs. Traditionalists are probably the most different, and they are very dependable, loyal, have a very solid work ethic. And if you don't think there's a generational conflict, then read these two quotes. The first was an email I received after my article ran in the Wall Street Journal, and the second was a post on the law blog at the Wall Street Journal's website. As repeating some of what I said, I think the main points of contention: millennial sense of entitlement, their work ethic, need for feedback. On the other hand, boomers and Gen Xers are more concerned about face time. And then there are certainly clashes over millennials' casual manner and communication styles. I think the ultimate irony, as I just said, is that a lot of these managers are boomers who raised these kids, and a couple of the managers I interviewed really recognized this, and most of them seemed oblivious to the fact that these were their kids that were working with them in essence. There was a woman at one of the big investment banks. She was the managing director for diversity. They actually put these generational differences under the diversity department at this bank, which I thought was interesting. But anyway, she said, I have a 13-year-old daughter, and I'm teaching her to be very demanding, to expect to be rewarded, all this for her accomplishments, and I'm very involved in her life. So she says, I try to remember that when I have my employees who are of her generation, that it's really the parents who raised them this way to a large degree, and I need to be more understanding. And a lot of companies are realizing they have to do something to create a little more harmony, so they're having seminars, trying to open communication lines, help generations appreciate their differences. Some of the big companies like IBM have a lot of mentoring, and they even have reverse mentoring, where the young people mentor the older managers, especially on technology skills. So I think there is a recognition, at least by the major companies, that this is going to be a growing issue because they're hiring more. Once the economy improves, they'll be hiring more and more millennials, and this mix of generations is still going to be pretty volatile. So in concluding what I thought about this generation after I finished all my research, I found it a fascinating generation, partly because it is complex. They have a lot of seemingly conflicting traits. As I said, they're high achievers, but often they lack leadership and independent thinking. They want flexibility and freedom on the job, but they need lots of feedback and guidance. Some of them dream of being famous and having a lot of money, but they also want to give back to society, and it'll be interesting to see how they reconcile some of these differences. And so in managing them, I think, as in life, it's a balancing act. Both sides have to give a bit. I don't think companies should bend to everything these millennials want by any means. But I think there are ways to make them feel important and involved if you really want to work with them and have them be successful. Some of the companies I talked to said what they try to do, if it is a rather mundane task, is explain how that job is really important to the bigger picture. And sometimes that helps. Or at least explain why it's important that they do this job. Flexible work schedules when business needs allow, I think, will be important. And even time for their iPods and social networks when it makes sense and doesn't detract from their work. I don't think there's any question that managers have to be ready to give them more feedback, but of course within reason. And one of the biggest challenges, I think, will be weaning them from their checklist to make them be more independent in their thinking. And finally, as I said earlier, I think some companies realize they have to be respectful of parents, but they also have to set firm boundaries on how far parents can get involved in the workplace. And I wrote my book before everything fell apart last year ago, September. So I've tried to get some follow-up by talking to young people, some people who interviewed me about how they're coping with the economy. I don't have a broad sense of it other than talking to some recruiters and some school career service directors, but clearly a lot of them are out of work. This has been a huge wake-up call for a generation that's used to achieving a lot. They did the right thing, and now they've done the right thing by getting a good education and they can't get a job. So I think it's very hard for them. Obviously, a lot have gone back home more than had before. I think there's some insecurity and fear among some of them if they have a parent out of work. Clearly, there's less job hopping and entrepreneurial opportunities have been limited by the credit crunch. I think more of them are looking to nonprofit and government jobs, even if they're low paying, to get some experience. And I hear mixed stories when I ask people about this. Some people say that they really are being a bit apathetic about it. I sat on a plane with a lawyer a few months back, and I told him about my book, and he said, "Oh, those are our new young associates you're talking about." And I said, "Well, how are they dealing with this economy? Are they worried about getting fired?" And he said, "You'd think so." But he said, "They're not really working any harder." He said, "Their attitude is, I'm probably going to get laid off anyway, so why bother?" On the other hand, I was speaking to an audience at the Treasury Department in Washington, and a woman there said her daughter had a summer internship, and she liked the company well enough, but she wasn't thrilled, and she also was curious to explore a different industry. So when that employer offered her a second summer internship for this past summer now, she first balked at it, but once she saw what was happening in the economy, she immediately took it. So obviously she had good sense to know that it's better to be employed than not, to gain as much experience as she could. I mean, I've encouraged young people that have asked me about this to try to find even non-paying jobs as interns at companies or nonprofit organizations, something that shows they're out there building their skills and getting experience. I was interviewed by, of all places, the New York Post, which is not my favorite newspaper of the day, which was going to write an article saying that this generation is going to become all slackers because they can't get jobs. And I don't believe that at all. I really think that once the economy improves, they will be back out there hustling for jobs. Hopefully not as demanding. Hopefully their expectations will be more realistic. And hopefully they'll be more resilient and flexible in their thinking, having learned from this how valuable having a good job is. And I think no matter how long it takes the job market to improve, that their basic values are there and they're not going to change. They're still going to demand work-life balance. They still want to work for a company where diversity is important, and they still want to do work that they find meaningful and rewarding. So I'm going to end on that note. I appreciate your coming and listening to me, and I'd like to take any questions now that you have. I think we have a little time left.
Is it your view that from the traditionalist to the millennial, whether you're a partner you have to work to understand one another, or is this generational difference just as easy for one next to the other to understand what's going on? I feel really alienated about being blended in my life.
That bothers you? To see somebody, their job doing that? Yeah. No, I don't think it's just traditionalist. I don't think the span of time between generations is necessarily a big factor. because a lot of the people I interviewed were I probably interviewed more baby boomers than anybody in terms of recruiters and managers, and some Gen Xers. I think they certainly, the boomers, and I interviewed a woman at PRG who was clearly a Gen Xer, and she said the iPod thing just drove her nuts. So I don't think it's necessarily that. I mean, the gap between their technology skills and other generations might be more for traditionalists and boomers versus Gen Xers and millennials. And that, I think in terms of communication styles, Gen Xers might be a little closer to millennials. But in terms of their attitudes about the workplace, their expectations, I think all three older generations are not happy about what they're seeing.
Do you have any data about gender differences in millennials?
That's a good question. I really didn't find much. Now, Universal, that company that listed the dream jobs, they've done some research by gender. One thing that I picked up on, and you might even look at their website, I think a lot of this is on there if you're really interested, but one thing that they saw was that, say 3 or 4 years ago, the difference between men and women wanting to have a work-life balance, that women placed it really high up on the list. But for men, it's been going higher and higher too, so the gap between men and women on that issue is narrowed for this generation. As far as other things, I think money is still probably more important to the men, whereas personal satisfaction for women a bit. But in terms of just the millennials, gender-wise, I don't know that there's a whole lot of difference. At least certainly the young people I spoke with, I didn't see a lot. One of the most refreshing things I saw from both young men and young women was the fact that they were I felt they were very open and honest and giving in the interviews. I didn't feel like they were ever holding back. And even when there would be a PR person from their company sitting right there, they didn't have any problem saying, I'm probably going to go back to law school in 2 years. Or the young man who said he would move on to another bank, I mentioned. And I mean, I would have been terrified to suggest I was leaving my employer when I was that new on the job. But they really have this self-confidence to be themselves. So,
If you were going to give one piece of advice to a boomer or a traditionalist professor teaching millennials, what would that be at the university level?
Teaching them, I would say to try to engage them, you're going to have to somehow make your lesson interactive, whether that involves technology or just getting them experiential learning experiences out in the community with companies. I think the lecture format is deadly for this generation, so I think you have to work harder to keep their attention and engage them, and often that can involve technology.
Any questions or comments from the millennials?
There are some millennials.
What kind of advice would you give millennials in integrating themselves into their workplace?
Yeah, there are a lot of things. And I've tried, when I've talked to business school audiences, I've tried to encourage them to help millennials in this way. But I think millennials, besides lowering their expectations of how fast they expect to move ahead in a company and how often they get promotions and raises and all that, but more, there are just some basic workplace norms that I was surprised to hear young people didn't understand or didn't want to follow, by coming in on time every day, not doing a lot of personal stuff online, the iPod thing, of course, and also respecting that there is a hierarchy in a lot of companies, whether you like it or not. You need to somehow adapt to that, that you're not the most important person at the company. And I interviewed one person who said, when I work with these young people, I want to encourage them, so I say, for example, okay, you worked hard on this project, I'm going to present it to whatever management committee she's going to do it. You can't come to the meeting. Not this time, maybe not next time, but maybe the third time I'll bring you. So I think that if you can accept that you just be patient, and a lot of the bigger companies are realizing that they need to give millennials more experiences. In other words, Ernst & Young, some of the young people there said they would get to go to another department, and they weren't really part of the department. They could work and observe that department for 3 months, and it would be sort of a way to figure out if that was a path they wanted to take with their career. So it was a way for Ernst & Young to help them learn about the company, build their skills maybe, or at least plan their career path. So I think if you go to the right company, you'll find that they are receptive to trying to help you develop yourself. You also have to adapt to a lot of the basic workplace norms. I mean, you can't work with flip-flops and jeans in most workplaces, and you have to be respectful in meetings and not be texting all the time, although I think older generations are guilty of using BlackBerries in meetings when they should be paying attention. But I really think schools, even though I think in my book I call this a helicopter parent mission failure, that they haven't taught their kids some of the basic etiquette of the workplace, just basic things about going to an interview, going to lunch, and career service departments hopefully can pick up the slack a bit there. But I think probably schools haven't realized that they had to do this, that they assumed young people would know a lot of this, but I don't think they do, or if they do, they're certainly ignoring it. More? Any?
We hire a lot of entry-level grads, and Brian is very outgoing, everything we're looking for, but our downfall is always you're going to have to relocate out of state, most likely, and they have a tough time with that. And the other thing is when you deal with conflict, maybe resolving an issue with your manager or trying to resolve an issue with your employees, you just cannot deal with conflict. Any recommendations on either role?
I think that's interesting. I did sense some of that not liking conflict, not wanting to have to try to work it out, which I think partly comes from their interpersonal skills aren't so strong. I don't know, I think you have to, a lot of this is, you're going to have to sort of almost take baby steps, but try to teach them that in a general way, if you can, that they have to deal with conflicts. There always going to be conflicts in any environment, whether it's a workplace or school or whatever, that they have to work toward understanding the person, trying to resolve things. And I don't see another way to do it. But I do think that they are fearful. That one young woman came up to me after I spoke in the school. She was like, I felt very awkward in this situation because I didn't want to know what to do because I thought because of COVID. Her direct manager wasn't listening to her and wasn't trying to help her develop and learn things. But his boss was more receptive to her, so she was like, how do I deal with this conflict? I have this boss working, willing to help me, but he won't help me, and he's the one I have to work with. So I got to think she was just so overwhelmed by this conflict that she didn't know where to begin. So I suppose they take courses in school, especially business school, where there's issues of negotiation, organizational behavior, and maybe learn some of this. A lot of students obviously aren't business school students. So I think it's just something that, again, I think companies that are having these generational workshops, that is somewhat helpful, bringing conflicts out into the open, and helping the different generations learn to talk to each other.
Do you really think that the millennial generation is any more disruptive to the workplace than the baby boomers were when they came into the workplace?
Definitely.
Really?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I was very poor. I don't
Fire marshal.
she's myself, all my friends and colleagues were too, and I don't think we were that disruptive by any means. I mean, we were disruptive or something like that. They were generation colleagues, they were disruptive in protests in Vietnam and all that. When it got to be into the workplace, I didn't really see disruption particularly. It seemed like everybody became pretty good soldiers. I don't know if maybe boomers would disagree with that.
by the very nature of our numbers, overwhelm the workplace, but I think we were very different from the previous generation.
So are there any people here as parents who feel they're helicopter parents? When I did my book, I probably heard about your slow parents, and whenever I brought up the word helicopter parents, I didn't say I was a helicopter parent, I just mentioned the word. They would immediately react very indignantly and say, I'm not a helicopter parent, but I do this and this and this and this. I think I should at least be a good parent, but I'm not a helicopter parent. There's only one man, who's an engineer at Chevron, who volunteered that I am a helicopter parent, and I am proud to be a helicopter parent. And then he went on to tell me how much he was doing to help his son go to his alma mater, which was Texas A&M, and also become an engineer and stuff. But their stories were clearly, they clearly were helicopter parents. One is a woman who sticks out of my mind. She's a physician in Orlando, very articulate, very smart woman, obviously. She's Cuban American. She said when she was growing up, her parents didn't pay much attention to her. She could have run wild and wouldn't have really cared. So she said she decided she was going to be a totally different kind of parent. She was going to give her kids everything. And in terms of her attention and her vigilance. So she told me, for example, that her son is when we were married now, and that every semester he sends her a list of courses he's thinking about taking, and she decides which ones he should take. So, it's like, as I said, I felt like these people had good intentions, but they just didn't really, were totally oblivious to what they were doing to their kids, I thought, in terms of letting them grow up, more independent.
Do you think there's a difference in this generation, the young people being able to deal with conflict? It seems to me that at the entry level of the years of any young person going into business, they have an inability to deal with conflict. And I don't, at various generations, I don't see that much difference.
Okay. I'm not sure. I mean, all I can say is some of the recruiters for consulting and financial services companies in particular said they see more difficulty with this generation dealing with complex situations where there's no clear-cut answer. I'm not saying that's conflict per se. I didn't really get into conflict that much, but they clearly said that whenever they do recruiting, that when they find somebody that they think through giving them a case study to solve, or just their interview questions go, they find somebody they feel can deal with ambiguity that they hire them. There's no question because they find somewhere to find young people who are comfortable trying to work things out on their own. So whether that goes is conflict, I don't know for sure. This is more about business problems. Right. I focused the book, and I say this so that I make it clear that all the people that I focused on in the book are college graduates or graduate school. Also, because these are the ones, my focus is the workplace, and they're the ones that recruiters are most seeking. So I focused on them, and I had a limited amount of time, so I had to have a certain scope to my book. But in the course of it, I did run into a few young people who came from maybe immigrant backgrounds, or like the one you may have said his father worked 2 jobs. And they did seem less demanding, less entitled, for sure. They seem to accept things more easily, and I think there is something to that. One difference, though, that was interesting to me is I interviewed the head of HR at Union Pacific for their own company. And I said, you get a mix of people, college graduates, high school graduates. Is there much difference? And he said, yeah, what I just said, they're not as demanding. He said, the one area where they are all the same, no matter what their education level, they all want is work-life balance. And for us, as a railroad company, that's difficult for blue-collar jobs because they have to go out at midnight maybe and deal with the problem on the railroad tracks or whatever. And they have odd hours as railroads are trying to run operations. So he said that was one of his biggest challenges for this generation, was finding
Northern Colorado Business Report. We appreciate you being here. And if we want to know more, we have to buy the book. Before we all head back to the office, there's a flyer on your table that looks just like this. It has details about the Business Plus Speaker Series. Please take one with you. Please take it back to the office and share with your colleagues. Let's see, there's one of the next ones is the Entrepreneurial Challenge in March, and the Women in Business Forum, that will be in April. The Monfort College of Business Entrepreneurial Challenge is more than just a luncheon. There's a competition for great new business ideas with more than $18,000 in prize money. Again, also features workshops about launching a new business, writing a business plan, getting financing for startups and stage 2 growth, successful business models, and more. If you can't make the whole day, then please just join us for the luncheon presentation. The Women in Business Forum, it's called Money Management, Marketing, and Me. It features 4 nationally renowned speakers, networking and mentoring opportunities, compelling panel discussion, and luncheon speaker Diane Bannon. She's brand manager for the Richards Group in Dallas, one of the largest independent advertising agencies in North America. She'll be discussing the importance of building a brand, how to set yourself apart, and how to effectively market in a challenging economy. There's more information on both of those on the Monfort College of Business website. And don't forget, Ron will be out at the Fireside Lounge right now in just a few minutes, selling and signing books. Thanks, everybody. Have a great afternoon.